But to make sense of the changes, the Australian's higher education editor, Tim Dodd, has been good enough to join us. Now, you wrote this week, Tim, that Labor's Education Minister, Jason Clare, has laid out a plan for the biggest overhaul of tertiary education since the 1980s. How's that overhaul been received by the sector itself?
Look, it's been received with a lot of anticipation by the sector. They have looked forward to this, but it's a complex plan and they are still digesting it. But overall, they believe that it can solve a lot of the problems which we have in training young Australians and older Australians too for the jobs which are out there in the current economy.
So, one of the criticisms we've all had of universities is, for example, they churn out a lot of people who have qualify as lawyers, but there's no actual jobs for lawyers. Do these changes address a simple problem like that?
Look, that is Jason Clare's plan. Now, we'll have to see how this works out, but as we know in the past, we have expanded numbers of students at universities, and they have not always done courses which led immediately to jobs. But as a part of this plan, they are going to match the skills in the economy with courses. So you can say, well, if I do that course, I'll have these skills, that will be for that job. So students will be able to have that information before them, and universities will have that information so they can make those decisions. So for that, I'm optimistic. Now, I have to also clarify something. It's not saying that all Indigenous students will have a place at universities. What the plan says is that Indigenous students, just like poorer students and students who come from regional Australia, will be able to go to university if they have the marks, if they are qualified to do so.
Yes.
It's not a free-for-all.
The new figures show that I think from 2025 to 2028, international students will take up a quarter of Australia's net new housing supply, and now Labor's considering introducing a tax on foreign students. This tax on foreign students, that's not unusual, is it? Don't other countries charge more for foreign students going to their universities?
Well, it's not just a fee, it's actually a tax, and it wasn't purposed to affect the housing market, as the idea actually came from universities which receive less of the foreign student market. And they're saying, well, look, all of these fees are going to just a few universities who've got a lot of foreign students. Let's spread that around so that there's Australian students at all universities will get some benefit out of this. And so the idea is that the government would put a tax on the fees which foreign students paid and put that back into the whole university sector so everyone benefits. Now, this of course is controversial, and over the next few months we're going to see a lot of debate about this and a lot of argy-bargy within the university sector among vice-chancellors between those who have a lot of foreign students and those who have a few, because there's a big difference of opinion over what should be happening with this tax.
Because as we know, Tim, just finally, pre-COVID, the foreign students were the rivers of gold for universities, weren't they?
They were the rivers of gold. And look, numbers of students here now are not up to the level that they were pre-COVID. They are still less. They are growing. And look, I think everyone is aware of the impact that they have on parts of the economy like the housing market, because there's obviously a housing shortage, but at the same time we have got a job shortage, and so most of the foreign students who come here are working part-time and they help to alleviate that. So it's a complex issue to which there's not a straightforward answer, but overall every foreign student who is here is paying to buy food, they're paying their rent, they're paying all the other living costs, their entertainment, and they are making a contribution to the Australian economy.
Tim Dodd from The Australian, thank you very much for your time tonight.